I had on my agenda, this is Michael Barbero and team. Now, Michael is,
I am Legislative Division Vice President for the Connecticut Association of Realtors, and I help our local RPAC fundraiser, Carolyn Auger, do these meetings to come out and educate our membership on the things that go on and try and get people to invest in RPAC.
and I'll let you introduce your
And
team.
I'm actually, Tom Casey, most of you might know me, Milford office leader, but I also am the chairman of the Greater New Haven Board of Realtors. And part of this presentation is really to let you guys know what the New Haven Board is doing. This is a major part of what we're doing, and thank God Mike is on our board of directors with us and has really helped us promote the board, let people know that the board exists, let you know what we're doing for you, and letting you know that we're available for you if you need help with anything. We also have been running a monthly luncheon. Hopefully some of you have come to this. It is a free luncheon. It's once a month. Next month we're doing a security. We have a gentleman coming in to talk about real estate security at the National Association of Realtors. Month of September is safety. So we're doing it in conjunction with that. So just keep that in mind. But Mike's going to talk to you a little bit about RPAC. Roberta is the director of the Greater New Haven Board of Realtors. And David is from CAR, Connecticut Association of Realtors. It's all yours, Mike.
Thank you. So, part of the new direction of the Connecticut Association of Realtors, and as well as the New Haven Board of Realtors, is we want to get the information out to the membership. We feel that there's a change of direction going in real estate. We think that realtors need to be better informed. The real estate, National Association of Realtors, the Connecticut Association of Realtors, including our RPAC, which is our political action campaign, really do a tremendous amount of work for the benefit of the public. It's one of the nice things about being involved in this PAC, the Realtor PAC, is that what we fight for typically is private property and homeownership rights. Occasionally there's an overlap where we're protecting our commission checks, but for the most part, our mission is the mission of private property ownership rights. It's the mission of ourselves, it's the mission of our children and our families and our grandchildren to own homes. And in Connecticut, I'm sorry to say, we have a dismal investment rate in RPAC. It's dismal. I mean, we're second only to Guam out of all the states.
Wow. That's pretty bad.
That's pretty bad. And I tell this all the time, for someone, I never even knew there really was a place named Guam. I thought it was just something you said, he lives in Guam or whatever the case may be, but I found out, in fact, there is a place named Guam because it's the only board that we're in front of in terms of our contributions to
I'll have to
RPAC.
Guam for dessert.
Exactly. So we've taken a different tact, and I'm going to pass these. I'm going to ask Roberta maybe.
No, I'll-
Thank you. I want to pass these out. So these are RPAC contribution envelopes, and I'd like this to be a dialogue. I don't want this to be some speech or dissertation. I'd like you to, if anybody has any questions while I'm speaking, just raise their hand. But the reason I pass these envelopes out is my goal here today is to get everyone to contribute their fair share, which is $25. If I fail today, if I don't say anything that resonates with you and makes you think that I've made a point why realtors should contribute to RPAC and invest in their future, I want to know it because I need to tailor my message so that I can get 100% participation. Now, I'll step back for a second. A lot of people, when I go out on the road, they say, I don't believe in politics, I don't play the politics game, I don't believe in PACs. The fact of the matter is, whether you believe in them and you believe in politics or not, whether you like PACs, whether you don't like PACs, PACs exist. And PACs influence legislation dramatically. We cannot not come to the table. So whether we like it or not, we have to be there. Because I'm one of the people who doesn't believe in PACs. I wish there were no PACs. I wish there were no investment in corporate investment. I wish Citizens United didn't pass. However, when it's raining outside, I don't like rain, but I don't drive down the street with my windows open and my windshield wipers off pretending it doesn't rain. I recognize that it's raining and I do what I have to do. And that is exactly what RPAC is. When we send legislators whether it's to Hartford or it's to DC. We assume that when a legislator gets up there, he sits on these committees, or she, and votes on legislation that affects all of our lives, and that they really look into everything and they really take it to heart and they're knowledgeable, and if they don't know it, they get out there and educate themselves. It's not the fact. I've seen it firsthand. These people are making decisions with our lives, with our livelihoods, with private property ownership rights, with the livelihoods and lives of our friends, family, and children. And if we are not at the table giving them the practical side of the argument, then we lose. We automatically lose if we're not there. We lose anyway sometimes. But if we're not there, it's an automatic, it's a forfeit. We don't win. The benefit of RPAC to you, other than the fact that you have people fighting for you, is this information that we're going to start to disseminate, the things that we fight for, will actually help you in your business, in your everyday business. You should be taking this information to your clients, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So, RPAC, we have two different really fights. We have our national fight, our national association, and then we have our state fight, where we're working with local legislators, our local senators, representatives, and even down to the municipality level. We're even dealing in some mayoral races. And what it does, as I said before, it gives us a seat at the table. It allows us to contribute to a candidate's candidacy, to contribute dollars to a candidacy, to give them an endorsement. And look, we're not a union. We're not a labor union. We are a trade organization that is trying to mobilize our people on issues that are important to our industry and, again, to our families, friends, and so on and so forth. So we don't have the benefit. When we endorse a politician, that doesn't mean that every realtor that goes out and votes for this politician. So if that's what's preventing you, say, well, the realtors have supported Senator so-and-so and I don't like him. Believe me, it's not about Senator so-and-so. It's about building a relationship with that particular senator so that when an issue comes up, we can call him and he can hear the practical side of the argument. And that's what needs to come. I'll tell you a little bit about a few issues that we've beat in the past few years at the state level. There was a buyer's conveyance tax that was proposed. Now, the buyer's conveyance tax was proposed by a senator from Guilford, Senator Ed Meyer. And this is important to understand, that most of these bills that would hurt us are well-intentioned. Senator Meyer, I happen to know him personally, he didn't come out and say, look, I want to put another burden on real estate. His concept is, if I take 1% from the buyers and put that into the fund for that municipality, then I can go out and I can buy open space. And we can preserve Wallingford, and we can preserve Guilford, or we can preserve North Haven, or whatever town it's in. It's well-intentioned. The problem is, we as practitioners know, if you tell your buyer that's buying a $300,000 house, they need to come to the table with another $3,000 that doesn't go toward buying down the principal balance of their house. It's going to go to the state. What is going to happen to those transactions? Apparently, right. I mean, I've had transactions where people have to come to the table with $500 more and we almost can't close. And then what happens? They ask who to put it in, right? And in fact, one of the politicians, I'll say it was Governor Malloy, when one of my colleagues at the state level confronted him about the buyer's conveyance tax, said, maybe the realtor should contribute the 1% out of their commission. And then he said, I'm kidding, and he said, well, maybe not now. But that's the way politicians feel. They feel that we have this big, huge check, because a lot of them are attorneys, and they all see us leaving that attorney's office with a big, huge check. They don't know what happens to that check when we hand it in to our office managers or to our team leaders or whatever, but all they see is that big check, and there's this huge target on our paycheck. So we were able to defeat that. We were able to keep out of the budget a 6.35% sales tax on our commissions. I don't know about anybody else in here. I'm not looking to lose any more of my commission than I already lose, and then I have to pay taxes on top of it to the state and federal government. So these are a couple of success stories that we had locally. We also were able to eliminate all mandatory energy scoring of homes. That's a little scary when the greater percentage of your house stock in our state was built 100 years ago. So model energy code really wasn't in effect back in the 1890s and the early 1900s. So what does that do to the sale of those homes? We were able to defeat that as well. Great. These are the winning stories. So everybody can hand back in because we won. Doesn't work that way. When you're a winning baseball team, you don't send the coaches home. You keep practicing. The coaches still. You don't say, look, we don't need the batting coaches. You send them home. We'll save some money. You have to keep fighting the fight. But now I'm going to switch to the national level, and I'm going to tell you what's going on the national level. There's one bill in particular that scares the hell out of me. It's called the PATH Act. And it's the fact that there is this one bill that I'm referring to, if it wasn't scary enough, there's several different entities, including the president himself, who have the same goal, just through different means, whether it's going to be another act, but the president claims he has bipartisan support. It was on the news last Wednesday or Thursday night. And let me explain to you what the PATH Act is. The PATH Act stands for Protecting America's Taxpayers and Homeowners. Again, very well intentioned, nicely worded. The PATH Act, what the PATH Act would do in order to protect America's taxpayers and homeowners, it would phase out Freddie and Fannie out of the secondary mortgage market. Furthermore, and I'm one of the people who believes that rightfully so, that the federal government can't keep underwriting the perils that no one would underwrite. So I believe at some point it has to happen. I knew it was coming. I'm just not as optimistic as the people that wrote the PATH Act are, that it's not going to have such a significant impact on our business. Does everybody know what Fannie and Freddie do in our industry? Okay, so I'll just say it anyway, and if you know it, you'll have to just bear with me. Freddie and Fannie buy up mortgages. They are the secondary mortgage market. And most recently what I saw was that they own 60% of the mortgages in the United States. Furthermore, they guarantee mortgages, and they guarantee about 90% of the mortgages in the United States. When I say guarantee, they're guaranteeing those mortgages against loss by the bank or the mortgage, the person that's producing the mortgage. That's a pretty safe bet when you got someone. The federal government is guaranteeing 90% of the mortgages, and the difference between that 90% and the 60% is the ones that nobody wants to buy, even with the government guarantee, they buy. That's 60%, and all of them they underwrite for 90%. So if they get rid of Fannie and Freddie, and you don't think that that is going to have an impact on your business, you're crazy, you're uninformed, and you need to get out and you need to start listening and start reading the information that's out there. Furthermore, what this bill does is it restructures FHA. Does anybody here even familiar with the term FHA? Have anybody done an FHA loan? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So by restructuring the FHA, and they're very crafty. They're very crafty. When I said at the beginning of this thing, I said when you sit down and you ask an individual legislator to make decisions on health care, on foreign policy, on fiscal issues, on housing, they're not all very astute and informed on all those issues. But one thing they know pretty well is the game of politics. And they know how to craft a bill. So they said, look, the 30-year mortgage is absolutely within the PATH Act. It's a component of the PATH Act. But what they don't tell you is that that 30-year mortgage is tied to reserves in the FHA program. So if the FHA program reserves drop below a certain percentage, well then that 30-year mortgage will go down to a 20-year mortgage. You'll only be able to write a 20-year mortgage. Is that going to change any deals on anybody's desk? And then if it goes down a little bit more, P.S., it's currently way below what it's supposed to be at. And then if it goes down a little bit more, that will go to maybe a 15-year loan, or even I've heard 10-year mortgages. Does anybody in here have a deal that's on the table that's going to close? If you took the amortization from a 30-year mortgage and brought it to a 10-year mortgage, is that deal still going to close? Are they still qualified for that house? Or does that house now become maybe a condo that's a foreclosure that is not in nearly as good a shape and worth nearly as much money as the house they were about to buy? This is scary stuff. This is scary stuff. And this is what the people that are making these decisions don't understand. The concept is right. The federal government has lost $5.1 trillion. Not the federal government. We have lost $5.1 trillion with Fannie and Freddie. And yes, people with FHA are only putting 3% down, now 3.5% down. They need more skin in the game. But what I'm hearing is get rid of the 30-year mortgage, get rid of the people that are backing it, which are allowing all this money to be in the mortgage market, and raise the deposit to 20%. They just don't get the impact that that has on our industry. I don't disagree with them. I don't think we'd be in this mess. I think people, if they had 15 or 20% into their house, would not have walked away just because. And I know you all have clients who want to do a short sale just because, and they're not even in default. And they say, can I do a short sale? And I'm like, are you in default? And they're like, no. And I'm like, well, you can't do a short sale. Well, you know, I look for something, then I'll start to not pay my mortgage. And I'm like, no, that's a structured default, a strategic default. You can't do that. That's illegal. But the fact of the matter is, I believe that if they had more money, I just don't believe that you go from 3% or 3.5% now to 20. I don't believe you go from a 30-year mortgage that they say, look, we take for granted this 30-year mortgage. No other country in the world has a 30-year mortgage, so you know we should just enjoy the fact that we had it for when we did. Hello, our business and our country relies on that 30-year mortgage. These are the things that these people see and do not recognize. That's why we need a seat at the table. That's why someone has to come to the table and say, what you're saying makes perfect sense. The problem is, from the practical side, from the practitioner side, this is where you need to go. There's a few other bills nationally, and a few other issues, even small issues nationally. Is anyone in this room aware that as of June 3rd, I believe was the date, PMI insurance, anybody dealing with less than 20% down on their deals? Okay? Anybody have a client that's got PMI in their insurance? PMI used to go away when the formula reached 78%. No, no longer. If your loan is, I forgot what the term is. I think if it's assigned a project number anytime after June 3rd, a case number, after June 3rd, now that PMI, that $200 and something depending on the size of the mortgage, that's in perpetuity. It's not just for some small percentage of this. What does that do? I had a client, and this is why I tell you need to use this information, because I had a client who was ready to walk away from a deal on the cusp of June 3rd because it was a divorce situation. The husband had taken the washer and dryer that were supposed to be a part of the deal, and he wanted to walk away because the wife said, I can't get him back. It wasn't a friendly divorce. He won't bring him back. I don't have any money. It's a short sale. I can't buy the thing. And I had to say to my client, okay, you're going to spend $1,000, $1,100 to buy these things. But if you lose this mortgage and go back into the market, now you're going to be paying, in this particular case, it was $228 a month. You're going to be paying $228 a month for the 30-year balance of your loan. Does that make a difference to you? Is it worth it now to go out and spend $1,000 and get a brand new washer and dryer? It was, he did, and I was right. And that's what you need to do. That's why we want to get the information to you. We need you. It's about a culture change. We need you to understand that there is a constant assault on the real estate transaction. They think money is changing hands, what's another 1%? Money is changing hands, what's another $500 here? What's more in recording fees? We know. We're in the trenches. We see that these people don't have more money to bring to the table. Another issue, mortgage interest deduction. They're talking about getting rid of the mortgage interest deduction. Now, we've got some assurances that the mortgage interest deduction will stay for the first home, for your first home. But on your second home, you'd lose it on your second home. Okay. So a lot of people in this room probably don't have second homes and say, I don't have a second home, so what? If you could afford to have a second home, you should be able to pay, you don't need to take that tax deduction. But a lot of people in this room are also selling people their second homes. So if that stands to reason, then you're losing business. And if you're losing business, our industry is losing business. And if our industry is losing business, prices are dropping. And the house that you do sell, the price is going to drop on that. It's all tied together. It's not independent. These are not independent sales. Your sale is tied to my sale. Your sale is tied to my sale. And I don't even know you. We need to band together on this stuff. Now, another thing that we're hearing from Washington, and this isn't in stone yet, it's not in any bill, but I'm not very surprised. We heard this directly from Washington, is that what they're going to do is redefine first home. Brilliant. If everybody wants the mortgage interest deduction on the first home, all we need to do is redefine first home. So we don't raise any ire. Everybody's calm because we're going to give it their first home. So I currently live in New Haven. I have a home in New Haven. It's my only home. I sell this home and I go and I move to Wallingford. Is that my first home? Today it is. If the politicians get their way, no, it's not. So now I can't take a mortgage on my primary residence because it's no longer my first home. Did some dynamic change that I'm not entitled to this mortgage interest deduction anymore? And I have to tell you, I'm a builder, I'm a developer, I handle rental properties. A major factor in the difference between homeownership and renting is the mortgage interest deduction. And if that goes away, a lot of people are going to say, why own? This hurts us. We are in Connecticut. I'm not sure of the effective date of this. It might already went into play. It might be October 1st. It might be January 1st. But there, because we're in Connecticut, and Connecticut is a judicial foreclosure state, and the banks find it more difficult to foreclose on properties in this state, there's a 20 basis point surcharge on every mortgage. And it doesn't matter if you're putting 110% down or 1% down, or you've got 900 credit score. It's irrelevant. It's every mortgage that's written in the state of Connecticut gets a 20 basis point surcharge on it because it takes so long to foreclose on properties in Connecticut. Now, I have clients who've lived in their house and haven't paid a mortgage in 3 years, and the bank hasn't even served them yet. That's Connecticut's fault? Sounds logical to the people because it does take longer. We're a judicial foreclosure state. But the people that are making the decisions don't know that these people have not even been served, and in most cases the bank doesn't even know they own the mortgage because they were swapped around. So you're paying for it, I'm going to pay for it, my client's going to pay for it. And I'll put 20 basis points into layman's terms. It's just under 25 basis points is 0.25%. Anybody ever have a client get a call that your interest rate's going up 0.25% because they couldn't lock it in that long, and what does that change the dynamic? It all comes into play. And I'm going to wrap this up in this manner. People go around the state, and we have major donors. We have people that contribute $1,000. We have people that contribute $5,000. I'm not here looking for that. I'd love to have the people contribute $100, $250, $1,000, but I'm going to go back to what I said initially. These politicians aren't experts on every subject matter that they vote on, but they're very smart when it comes to politics. And when I go to Hartford, and I sit down with a senator or in front of a committee and give our position, the realtor's position, and they go back and look and say, they've got 15,000 members in Connecticut, and then they look at our PAC and they say, oh yeah, but only 7% believe in their issues. And that's not true. I know you all believe in the issues, and you may never have contributed to RPAC. But what they read is 7% of the people reverse that. 90%, 93% of their membership could care less about this issue. Therefore, I don't care, because they react to us. They react to emails. They react to constituents. That's right. So what I'm looking for is participation. I want more than the ultimate dollar. If we don't get to our dollar, we don't get to our dollar. But I want them to see that we have 15,000 members and we have 15,000 people that give their fair share, which is $25. We'll take $5. We'll take $10. We'll take whatever you have. And please, if it's I don't believe in politics, pull me aside and let me convince you that whether you believe in politics or not, you're in the game. And if it's I don't believe in PACs, please pull me aside and let me prove to you that whether you believe in PACs, they're impacting your livelihood. They're impacting you right now as we speak. I'm not asking you to come with me to DC. I'm not asking you to come with me to Hartford. I'm not asking you to sit on committees. I invite you to sit on our local committee, if you'd like, because we do have a legislative committee where you'll learn a tremendous amount of information that you can use in your practice. But what I really am here to do is ask that everyone today invest their fair share in RPAC, to give me teeth, that when I sit across from a legislator and deliver your position, what's good for us and what's good for our families, that when they go back and they look, they see that I have people behind me that believe in what I say.